Hello friends and welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm really glad you're here. And a big welcome to all of the new viewers who've joined us for the Summertime Make-Along. Welcome to you. If you're new here, my name is Becca and this channel is all about my love for knitting, spinning, weaving, sewing, crocheting, all the fiber things. If you're enjoying this fiber adventure, please consider leaving a like or subscribing to my channel, or sharing with your friends. I invite you to grab whatever project you have on the go and join me. Let's make some stuff. There's still time to join our Summertime Make-Along. The Make-Along will go through the end of July. There are no rules. You can make whatever you like, using whatever craft you like, knitting, crocheting, sewing. The only stipulation is that you make something that you would either like to wear or to make during the summertime when it's warm. Use the hashtag SummerMakeAlong on Instagram and Ravelry to share what you're making, and join our Ravelry group, Summertime Make-Along. I'm also offering one of my crochet patterns for free during the Make-Along, so if you'd like to get one of those patterns for yourself, all the details are in the description box below. And let's get to making. I also want to share with you this top that I'm making. This is a knitted tank top pattern that I just made up years and years ago with some yarn that I bought at a secondhand shop, I believe. So I got it for super cheap, the yarn. It was a nice yarn. I don't remember what it is at this point. And again, one of my early forays into designing a pattern for myself. So it's not perfect, but it's nice and comfortable and lovely for summer. So it is a wool and linen blend in this yarn in two colors. And I had only a limited amount of yarn, so I could only make something small with it. So I decided for a tank top. When I started this channel, I promised to bring you the unvarnished truth of making, all the good and the bad, because sometimes there's bad. And unfortunately, in this video, I have some not so fantastic things to share with you that have happened. But it's okay. This is a redemption story, so there are some good things that have happened through the end, and everything worked out in the end. So last week I had my Black Sparkly Crochet Bag all ready to put the lining in, and I had found some fabric in my stash that I wanted to use, and I had everything laid out on my sewing table, waiting for a few days for me to be ready to finish that project. And when I came back a few days later to start the sewing process, I noticed that there were some little snags all over the bag, and that some other items in my sewing room, some of my silk tablet woven bands, had some snags on the end where they were exposed. I had a mouse in my sewing room. So, as you might imagine, this was pretty upsetting, and I put away all the things that I had left out in my sewing room. I had several cones of silk thread, and those had to go away. Thankfully, they weren't all damaged. I had some books laying around that definitely I didn't want those to get chewed or peed on. So those all went away. And I thought at that time that the bag was just ruined. I went away for a while and I let my emotions calm down. And in the meantime, I let my cats have free reign of my sewing room, which they don't usually do because they also like to chew on things. And my squishy blocking mats that fit together got a little chewed on in the process by the cats, but the mouse has been nowhere in sight. So I don't think they've actually caught the mouse, but at least they scared it off. When I went back to look at it again, I realized that yes, there were some snags in the thread and the yarn, but there weren't any holes chewed through, and I felt like it was still going to be a usable and a useful piece. So I decided to go ahead and finish it up. I did give it a good wash first, because you never know with mice. And so after I washed it and blocked it and let it dry, then I finished up the sewing. And that's what I want to share with you today. So I guess the moral of this story is that sometimes some jerk is going to come along and try to mess up all your stuff. And you just have to scare it off with your pussycat and continue making the life that you want anyway. Come along now for some sewing fun. First, I want to introduce you to my 1974 Elna Super Sewing Machine. She is a beauty, and this machine belonged to my mother, and I inherited it after she passed many years ago. And I love sewing with this machine. Every time I sew with it, I get to have those memories of my mother in her sewing room. The sound of the machine and the smell of the machine oil just brings me back. And as you can tell, many hundreds of yards of fabric have gone through this machine, so much so that the paint has started to wear off. That's all from her. She was an amazing sewist, and I am nowhere nearly as good as she was, but I still love using this machine. It is a very simple machine, doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the modern computerized machines, but it makes a fantastic straight stitch and zigzag stitch, and has some other pattern stitches as well. And it's really easy to maintain. So she's a workhorse. I love this machine and wouldn't want to sew on any other machine. Now on to sewing of this bag lining. I decided to do a double lining, as I mentioned, with the black fabric on the outside, so you can't see it through the crocheted thread, the crocheted fabric, and the floral pattern, this beautiful floral pattern, on the inside for a flash of color and for just happiness when I look inside my bag. And I had both of these fabrics in my stash, so that's another opportunity for some frugality. Hooray! And this process, I have had to make a new pattern, draft a little pattern to make the lining. That was fine. Cutting out the fabric was no problem. But when it came time to figuring out how to sew the pieces together so that all the seams would be enclosed, I did run into a bit of I did get a little confused by that, and so sewed a seam, realized it was wrong, ripped it out, sewed again. So you'll see that in the footage that I'm going to share with you. So the sewing of the bag lining itself didn't go quite as planned, but in the end, I think it turned out beautifully, and I'm really happy now that it's finished. That's it for this video. I really hope that you'll join our summertime make-along. Again, all the information is in the description box below. And remember, you can get one of my crocheted patterns, either the Sunflowers crocheted top or the Wildflowers or Crop Circles scarves that I've shared in my previous videos. You can get these on either Ravelry or on my Etsy shop at Becca's Yarns Crafts. And there is a code in the description box for how you can get one of those patterns for free during the summertime make-along. I really hope you'll join us. Thank you so much for spending some of your creative time with me. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!